So let's compare the Galaxy S22 with the Motorola Moto G Stylus 5G. So both of these are 5G phones, but the S22 5G is a flagship at $800, while the Moto G Stylus 5G is a lower end priced phone that could be had for as low as free when you port in your number on prepaid carriers. The S22 5G is definitely a phone that is found on postpaid carriers, is a phone that's compared to the iPhone in terms of price and performance. But the Moto G Stylus 5G is just, it just speaks value. You get a lot of bang for your buck, and it is a good comparison to show what this phone could do against flagships, and it has some things that aren't found on flagships. So like I said, both of these have 5G, so that's how we're going to start. The S22 is more compact than the Stylus 5G, more lightweight. Build quality is better in the S22. It's a glass front, glass back, aluminum frame phone. Stylus 5G is pretty much a plastic frame, plastic back type phone, so you got glass versus plastic. The S22 5G also has an eSIM, which is very handy, while the Stylus 5G does not have that. Now, the S22 does have IP68 dust and water resistance, so you can dunk it in water for 30 minutes, while the Stylus 5G is a water repellent design, so it's not for full submersion. And the big thing that stands out on this Moto Stylus 5G is the stylus. So if you wanted some type of stylus writing capability, you're gonna have to get the step up the price and get the Samsung Galaxy S22 Ultra, and that's gonna cost you north of $1,000, and that's just beyond anybody's price point for the most part, especially considering what flagship what budget phones could do nowadays and what you get for the price. So not only is the Moto Stylus 5G a phone that you can get for a really cheap price, you also get a stylus that's not found on this flagship comparison, so keep that in mind. Now, the S22 has 120 Hz refresh rate. The Stylus 5G only has 60 Hz. Overall size is a big difference. S22 is 6.1 inches versus the 6.8 inches on the Stylus 5G. So if you're looking for a big phone with a big screen and that'll work well with a stylus, then yes, the Stylus 5G is a better phone just in the size department. Resolution is pretty good between both of these because they both have 1080p, similar PPI, 425 on the S22, 387 on the Motorola. S22 has always on display. Software is different on these, although they both run Android. You got Android 12 on the S22, Android 11 on the Motorola. You have Samsung UI on the S22, while you have a more of a stock Android feeling on the Stylus 5G, but you're not going to get a lot of updates. It's stuck on Android 11 for now, and I don't see it getting updated, while the S22 will get at least 4 years of updates, so keep that in mind. Now, for storage, both of these have the exact amount of internal storage, 128 gigs, but you are going to see a difference in RAM. The S22 has 8 gigs of RAM, and the Stylus 5G Motorola, depending on which model you get, you might get either 4 gigs or 6 gigs of RAM. If we're going to compare that at 4 gigs, it is not too good, so that means you're not going to run a lot of apps in the background. But if you could get it at 6 gigs, that'll be even better. But yeah, I don't think $800 is worth those 2 to 4 extra gigs of RAM, especially for the person that's shopping, for the average user that's shopping for phones and considering price in mind. The one advantage for the Stylus 5G is that it also has micro SD card slot, so you can fill it up with tons and tons of storage on the cheap. Now, for the camera situation, Samsung S22 has 3 cameras: 50 megapixel main shooter, 10 megapixel telephoto, 12 megapixel ultra wide. Moto Stylus 5G, 4 cameras: 48 megapixel main camera, 8 megapixel ultra wide, 5 megapixel macro, 2 megapixel depth. So lots of cameras on these phones. Overall, better camera setup is probably the S22, obviously, because it's a flagship. Great pictures and videos in the daytime and at night. Stylus 5G, although it has a nice setup, your best bet is to take pictures and videos in the daytime, but once you get it into dark settings, it will pretty much suffer. You can shoot up to 8K on the S22, up to 1080p on the Stylus 5G. For the selfie camera, The S22 has a 10 megapixel shooter at 4K, Stylus 5G 16 megapixel shooter at 1080p. You do not have a headphone jack on the S22, but you do have it on the Stylus 5G, good for headphones or connecting it to your car via aux, for example. You got Bluetooth 5.2 on the S22, 5.1 or 0, I believe, on the Stylus 5G. It doesn't really make a difference. They'll still connect to your smartwatch, your wireless headphones, and your speakers. S22 does have NFC for payments. Stylus 5G doesn't have that. Both have USB Type-C for charging. And although both of these have fingerprint readers, the S22 is under the display versus rear mounted on the Stylus 5G. Both will get the job done. It just depends on your preference. And you do have Samsung DeX on the S22, but it's almost a gimmick. It's not too useful if you already have a laptop. And for the battery, S22, I've said this on previous videos, it's a very small battery at 3700 milliamps versus other phones that have 5000 milliamps like this Stylus 5G. So big old battery in the Stylus 5G, big advantage over the Samsung S22. Although Samsung probably lowered the milliamps on this battery because it'll optimize with the software and the chipset. But simply put, I mean, battery life, I'm going to give it to the Stylus 5G. I have more faith that this phone will give you way more battery life, especially with that lower end chipset. It's still going to be pretty good. As apart from the battery size, you got fast charging on the S22 at 25 watts. You got wireless charging and reverse wireless charging. So a lot of extra stuff in the charging department. But overall, I mean, the Stylus 5G, and you know me, if you subscribe to my channel, you know in my previous videos, I tend to gravitate towards lower end devices, especially because they get better and better every year. You get more bang for your buck, and you're comparing an $800 device that offers slightly better performance, slightly better specs, and it's actually lacking in some areas, while you're getting free phones, $50 phones, that offer pretty much the same type of stuff. You're getting 99% of what you need on the phone, and then some, like the micro SD card slot. You're getting the stylus, you're getting a bigger battery, a bigger screen. So there's a lot of things to like about the Stylus 5G. It's almost like it's almost not really a comparison, especially in the price department. I think a lot more people will be happier spending their $50 on the Stylus 5G than spending $800 on the S22. It doesn't seem like you're going to get that much more performance, that much more things done if you were to get either of these phones. So yeah, the Stylus 5G available pretty much on every prepaid carrier, Cricket, Boost, Metro, all that stuff. You can find it for a very cheap price, and there's no taxes on the service. There's no activation fees, none of that stuff. If you know where to look for it, the S22 just screams like a waste of money. Unless you just care about raw performance and raw specs, the S22 is up your alley. But for my money, and I think most people's money, I recommend getting the Stylus 5G. Just too many good things about it. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you in the next one.